Phassa paccayā Vedanā. Because there is contact as a condition, feeling arises. This is very important for everyone. How many kinds of feeling are there? 3 or 5. With regard to the body, how many are there? 2. What are they? Pleasant feeling and unpleasant feeling. Sometimes our body feels comfortable, right? This is a pleasant feeling in the body. Other times, there is an uncomfortable or painful feeling in the body. This is unpleasant feeling. There are just these 2 kinds of feelings for the body. What about the mind? How many kinds of feeling are there? 3. Sometimes we feel happy. This is somanassa, or pleasurable feeling. Sometimes we feel unhappy. This is displeasurable feeling. We're talking about the mind, not the body. When we think, we might feel happy, or we might feel unhappy, right? But sometimes we also feel neutral. So we have 5 kinds of feelings. But briefly, we can compile them into 3 kinds: dukkha, sukha, and upekkha. A good feeling regarding the mind and body can be considered sukha Vedanā, or pleasurable feeling. An unpleasant feeling regarding the mind and body is dukkha Vedanā. And neither pain nor happiness can be called a neutral feeling. See? Just these 3 feelings. So dependent upon Phassa, feeling arises. What kind of Vedanā? Let's use eye contact as an example. Phassa is the combination of 3, right? In this example, they are eye sensitivity, a visible object, and eye consciousness. What kind of Vedanā is eye consciousness? Do you remember? It is upekkha, but after eye sensitivity receives a good or desirable object, what feeling arises? Sukha, or pleasurable feeling. Oh, I like this. On the other hand, if the object is undesirable, there is dukkha Vedanā. An unpleasant feeling will arise. What about if the object is just average? What if it's not so good or so bad? Then there is a neutral feeling. We see objects all the time, right? We see lots of things that make us neither happy nor unhappy. Mostly, then, we have neutral feeling. Seeing tends to be accompanied by a neutral feeling. Where does feeling come from? It comes from Phassa. If you close your eyes, you can't see anything. If you can't see anything, you won't have any feeling. In the same way, if you close off your ears, you won't hear any sounds. As a result, you won't have any feeling. 65 Las Vegas Sayadaw. Can you see how feeling doesn't come by itself? It depends on Phassa. Phassa is the cause, and Vedanā is the effect. So it's the same way with regard to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Let's look at examples for the others. If there's a good smell, sukha Vedanā arises. If the smell is bad, there is dukkha Vedanā. If it's just a normal neutral smell, there is upekkha Vedanā. This is regarding the nose. The same applies for eating and the tongue. If the food is very tasty and you like it, there is sukha Vedanā. If the food tastes bad and you don't like it, it becomes dukkha Vedanā. And if it's just normal, there is a neutral feeling. As for the body, if the place you sleep or sit or the clothes you wear are comfortable for your body and you like it, there is sukha Vedanā. If you don't like it, there is dukkha Vedanā. If it's normal, there is neutral feeling. With regard to the mind, we're not talking about seeing or hearing, right? No, we're talking about thinking. We're talking about mental objects. When mind and a mental object impact and you feel happy, it becomes sukha Vedanā. You might smile, right? This is just a personal experience. On the other hand, if you think about something you experienced and get angry or cry, this becomes dukkha Vedanā. These are just personal experiences, right? It's just you. And sometimes we experience just a normal neutral feeling. These feelings are not steady. Let's look at the example of watching television. When you do, there is eye contact. This is Phassa. Phassa paccayā Vedanā. You see something attractive on the screen. It's something you like, and you feel happy. I like that. You might smile or laugh, right? But a minute later, you see something different on the screen and feel sad. How terrible. Have you ever watched a movie and felt happy one minute and then sad the next? Feelings change, right? We experience different mental feelings. A pleasant feeling can change to an unpleasant feeling, or even a neutral feeling. Our feelings just arise and disappear. They keep changing all the time. When we practice meditation, we understand this. If we have good concentration, we can see how we might first have a normal, neutral feeling, but then we might feel proud of how well we're meditating, and then feel happy, pleasant feeling. Shortly after, we might experience pain in the body and have an unpleasant thought, and then we feel unhappy. In just the span of a minute, our mind and feelings can change dramatically, can't they? This is feeling. See that, right? 66. Phassa paccayā Vedanā. It's the same with regard to sounds, smells, tastes, touch, and mental objects. Depending upon the object, your consciousness might be wholesome, or it might be unwholesome. We're talking about feeling, right? Feeling is associated with every type of consciousness. In other words, every conceivable type of consciousness will have a feeling associating with it, because Vedanā is one of the universal mental factors. Whatever the consciousness is, there will be a feeling, maybe sukha, maybe dukkha, or maybe upekkha. But this feeling is impermanent. We can see this very clearly. Especially for meditators, it is very clear that Vedanā is just arising and disappearing. Please bear in mind that when you sit in meditation, you'll sometimes feel pain. Why do you feel pain? When your body and something else, two kinds of things, impact in a certain way, you'll feel pain, hurt, or numb. What kind of Vedanā? We're talking about Phassa paccayā Vedanā, right? There will be dukkha Vedanā. Pain is unpleasant, right? But this feeling is not Vedanā. Vedanā without interruption. It's not like that. When we studied the first and second chapters of the first book, we learned that differing types of Vedanā associate with differing types of consciousness. What kind of consciousness are we talking about in this illustration? Think about your mind. What kind of consciousness is there? When you sit in meditation, what feeling are you experiencing in a given moment? In this illustration, there's a painful feeling. It's dukkha Vedanā, right? Dukkha Vedanā is in rootless consciousness. Do you remember dukkha sahagata kaya vijnana? This is a painful feeling in the body. When you have this feeling, what matters is your attention. There's no need to care about the feeling. It's good if you know that it arose, simply because you've been sitting in meditation for a long time. This is why the feeling arose. And it's important to know that this feeling is not something unbroken or continuous. In fact, the feeling doesn't last long at all. A feeling arises and disappears, and then a new feeling arises. The old feeling goes away, and then a new feeling comes. Right? This happens very quickly. When we fail to recognize this, we think, oh, I've been hurting for so long. Although it might seem like a long time, it really isn't. Every moment, there is just arising and disappearing. It's good that you know this according to your knowledge and your meditation. Your wisdom. Who knows this? Wisdom. What is wisdom? Paccayā, which is a mental factor. Cetasika. Paccayā is associated with 4 types of great wholesome 67 Las Vegas Sayadaw consciousness. When you practice meditation, it's wholesome consciousness, right? If there's paccayā, it's one of 4 of them. When you have paccayā, you see that Vedanā is impermanent. You see that it's arising and disappearing. Who sees this? Wisdom. Specifically, it's great wholesome consciousness, accompanied by wisdom. If you know that feeling is just arising and disappearing, you don't attach to the feeling. Otherwise, you'll start thinking, why is the pain lasting so long? Why am I hurting? It depends on wise attention, right? If you have unwise attention, you get upset about the situation. When you get upset about the situation, you suffer. What kind of consciousness arises in that moment? Unwholesome dosa. Why do I have to suffer like this? This is domanassa. It is unwholesome consciousness rooted in ill will. I want this feeling and this suffering to go away. If you have the desire for this feeling of pain to go away, then what kind of consciousness do you have now? Lobha. See? There was dosa, and now there's lobha. But if you just see Vedanā and know that it's just a feeling that won't last long, that is, that it's impermanent, then you know that its nature is to arise and disappear. Through your concentration and wisdom, you see that there is arising and disappearing. You know this. When you do, there is wholesome consciousness. So, depending on our wise attention, if we think the right way, whatever feeling we come across, even if it's a bad, unpleasant feeling, it becomes wholesome consciousness. See that, right? Even if we see a good, pleasant thing, maybe we are watching a movie or television and see an attractive person. If we don't have wise attention, attachment may arise and there will be unwholesome consciousness. So even if the object is good or desirable, it becomes unwholesome consciousness. If we lack wise attention, we have to study our mind, right? Don't let unwholesome consciousness arise. Try to guide the mind to stay wholesome. We have a weapon, a technique, to help us do this. Whatever arises at the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, or the mind, we have to know that it is impermanent. If we know that its nature is to be temporary, we don't have to attach to it. Whatever displays, just see it, realize it, and let it pass. This is why we need to practice meditation. It is to understand our mind, our body, and our feelings. The more you practice, the more you understand. The more you understand, the closer you are to your spiritual 68 Phassa paccayā Vedanā goal. As you get there, your mental defilements are eradicated step by step. Today, we've been studying Phassa paccayā Vedanā. Feeling arises because of contact. We know the reason, we know the cause. There's feeling born of eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, and mind contact. This feeling is concomitant with 32 types of resultant consciousness. Just 32 types, mind you. Feeling is the result, not the cause. When you feel something, it's the result of either wholesome or unwholesome consciousness. We already studied this, right? Among rootless consciousness, there are the 7 types of unwholesome resultant consciousness and the 8 types of wholesome resultant consciousness. This resultant consciousness is vipaka, or the effect of wholesome or unwholesome consciousness. That's why I'm saying that this feeling is not the cause. Feeling is just resultant, right? It is the result of wholesome or unwholesome consciousness. This is why I'm telling you that we're talking about feeling concomitant with 32 types of resultant consciousness. We can also call these the 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. There are 36 types of resultant consciousness, right? This includes the 4 types of phala. There are 4 types of magasiddha and 4 types of phalasiddha, right? Well, phala and vipaka are the same. That is, phala is a result of wholesome consciousness, right? The 4 types of phala are called supramundane resultant consciousness. But, in this context, we're talking about the 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness. We're not talking about phalasiddha, 69,